Alright, I'm out here at the Lorain Stoneycreek hiking trails. I just finished up setting the FKT standard for the loop. As I said when I typed it up, it is definitely not an easy course. You might be thinking to yourself, 5 miles, 1,300 feet, that doesn't seem too bad. And, overall, even though it's a short distance, 1,300 feet divided by 5, it's like what, 220, 230 or something like that per mile. But what it makes up for in distance, it definitely makes up for in difficulty and terrain. Overall, the hiking trails here are pretty nice. I don't know how many miles there actually is, maybe 8 or 9 if you did every section. There's probably 5 different trails. They all have different colors and names for them. This one stayed mainly on the yellow trail. The map of the earth is what they call it. But you would have to backtrack some to do some of the others and overlap some to get them all. But it's a nice trail system. It was recently built the last couple years. Again, some are very primitive still, and they're not really runner friendly. Probably got shit on my face, feels like it. They are more of like a hiking trail, or trails that you explore on, more so than trails that you're going to come and visit and go balls to the wall running on, because you can't run the trails. Like, you can run them, but you can't run them in their entirety. There's spots on each section that you're just going to have to walk because there's just no way around it. But there are some nice features in this park. They got a bunch of geocaches, like over 20, I think now. And if you get them all, they give you like a little poker chip with this Lorain hiking trail symbol on it. So that's pretty cool. I would say it takes a couple of days to get them all. But there's a couple waterfalls and stuff like that. There's an overlook, like a Johnstown, that you can see, and you'll actually see on the yellow trail. So there is a nice little exploratory aspect to this trail system. But for this FKT, it starts off like runnable for like 4/10, and you'll finish up with the same 4/10. And you'll hit, that's like on the blue trail, Path to the Falls or something, I think it's called. But then once you hit the lime green trail, you'll start to see how hard it gets. It's like a little warm-up is what I call it, for what you're going to encounter later on. And then once you hit the yellow trail, the difficulty goes from, we'll say, like 6 to 7 to like a 9 to 10 in some spots. Again, it's not all 9 or 10. Some of it is like a 4 or 5, where it does have a little like grassy section, like double, triple wide, where you could actually like fly down. And then you do hit like a pavement section after an overlook. The only pavement section, just because I wanted to get, when I mapped it out, a little bit more mileage in. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to get 5, but I could have cut that out. But I like it because it just allows you to gain some time and gives you something different. And does give you that like extra, probably 4/10, 5/10 to make it a 5-mile loop. So it is sort of needed, but whatever. There's a lot of rocks. There's a lot of roots. Obviously some hill climbs. There's mud. There's springs and creeks. You will need your navigation. I would say use your navigation on your watch 100%, just to make sure you know where you're going. I mean, I guess once you hit the yellow, you really don't have to worry about it. But just in case, and I also say wear gloves, because I would say like fingerless gloves, just so you could put your hand on like the hillsides and some of the rocks and grab on some of the trees to swing yourself around. And then when you fall, because you're probably going to fall, to brace yourself and not like tear up your hands. You know how that is when you fall on trails, like your hands just get tore the hell up. So I would recommend gloves. Your feet are gonna get wet unless it's bone dry, like unless you come in like July where there hasn't been rain for weeks. Your feet are gonna get wet. I would say some of the pitches on some of the hills are like 30% ish. You're definitely, it's definitely steep, and some other spots, you actually have to start up high. I learned that yesterday mapping it out, because every step you take, you're actually going down, like you're slipping down. You can't just run straight across. You're actually like going down. There's no way around that. Then you have to tiptoe around some big rocks and stuff. You can't even hop over rocks or like run through them. You actually have to like stop so you could pick, because they're like angled and twisted, all stuff. You really can't get good footing without tiptoeing and slowing down, or else you're gonna trip. And when I say these trails, when I say they're primitive, I really do mean they're primitive. Like this yellow trail, probably about 2 miles, is what I would like to call worse than deer trail. So like a normal deer trail that gets worn down, okay, people see that all the time. It makes a deer trail look like a 4-lane highway. Is the best way to describe it to me. So that's how rough some of these are, especially with the leaf cover. Like you really can't see where the trail's supposed to be because of the way the leaves are, and nobody's really used these yet. This spring, well, it's March 5th, whatever. So maybe later when there's more use to be able to, they get worn in a little bit more. But so not being able to see like where the trail is actually supposed to go with your footing, you have to watch like the yellow blazes on the trail, which you definitely can see the next one from the one you're at. So if you're like 10 feet from a tree with a yellow blaze, you can look up and you'll be able to see the next one beyond that, if not 2 or 3, depending on the alignment of the trail at the time. So that's not really an issue. It's just the difficulty of the terrain while you're trying to navigate through it. But it is a fun trail system to venture and see. Like when it gets really green, if you go down some of the other trail systems, there's just like really cool sights to see, like around that, like the creek and stuff like that, how it cuts into the banks and like the waterfalls and stuff like that. Really nice scenery. So I don't want to like say this is a bad trail system, because it's really nice, and it's a hidden gem inside Johnstown. Well, Lorain borough, but I call it Johnstown. And that's how people would actually find this. But it is a difficult FKT to do, and kind of interested to see who's going to come and try to attempt and lower the bar, and if they can do it, because you have to almost be like a daredevil to lower this. Unless you just really fly on some of like this easier sections and bank some time to slow down. And you probably actually would have to do the trail a couple times before you attempt it, just so you know where to go and be more comfortable. Otherwise, you're going to be second guessing yourself. And I know like today and yesterday, I chased around probably a dozen different deer along the trail. Just seems like I'd kick them out to one spot, I'd get to another spot, they'd be there, and kick them back the other way. Whatever. There's a nice little herd up here. It's posted though, so you can't hunt them. Because when I say it's a hidden gem, you're really not too far from houses and roads. So if you would get lost or you get hurt, you're not that far from civilization, because this is like a smaller park. But when you're on the trails, you really don't notice it. Like it does feel like you're secluded, and you don't notice that you're basically in town, just because of the way like the valley is and the hillside that you're running on. You're actually like at the bottom of it, like a valley, Like there's a road over here to my left, but you're on the right hand side here, and the houses are like on top. There's no real houses on this left hand side, just the road. So when you're on the trails and you're going through them, you really don't notice the houses on top or at like the far edges of the park. So if something would happen, you're really only like, maybe, I don't want to say 2 or 3 tenths in any direction. I don't know. It could be a little bit farther. So if you came in dark, if you're in the woods and it happened to get dark, you just start walking one direction. You know, you're eventually going to come to a road or a house. But again, once you're running on the trails and you're in the trail system, it just feels like you're in a state forest. It just feels like that secluded. So it does get used by a lot of walkers, people walking their dogs and just exploring, getting outside. So be careful if you're going to run and explore these trails. And for dogs, of course, you know how that is. Not everybody has their dog on a leash. If you start running, you know, a dog might be friendly, wants you to pet it, so you don't want to trip over that. You just have to watch your footing, wear some good trail shoes. Like, I mean, like your A-game race day type shoes. You don't want like just normal trainers. My Peregrines definitely made a difference compared to like my Cohesions, my trainers. It was like night and day difference, like the grip. But you know, other than that, I just like it because it's close to home. It's like 30 minutes away. I could hop up here real quick and get some miles in, and good training. It really is, honestly, good training. Like PA Roxylvania style training. It'll get you prepared for those like harder trail, longer trail races in Pennsylvania. But because you do have to pay attention to your footing, actually learn how to trail run a little bit, and it does keep you mentally and physically fit. So check them out. Come do this FKT and see what you think. All right, I'm up here at Lorain, Stoneycreek hiking trails. Just show you the trailhead. I'm gonna try to set the FKT standard today. I actually made the route up yesterday. I came up, scouted it out, made a 5.3 mile loop. Got approved today, so I'm gonna try to set the bar. I don't know. I got gloves on today because it is a little dangerous and soft in spots, and I plan on falling a couple times just because how dangerous this trail is and some of the primitive spots. When I say primitive, it's makes a deer trail look like a 4-lane highway. We'll put it that way. There's just markings on the trees, but overall it's pretty well marked. I think it took me an hour and a half to map it out yesterday, so I'm going to see if I can't do it in an hour. Might be pushing it with how technical it is, but we'll see. Here goes nothing. This is what I mean about it's a billy goat trail, more or less, in some spots. You can't even tell where a trail's at except for the markers. All right, I'm at Lorain, finishing up the FKT. Got about a tenth, there's, I think, left. You can see the parking lot. Really fucking rough. A little easier than I know the course after mapping it out, but still not runnable. It's just that this first and the beginning and the end's runnable, but shit, that a lot of it, holy fuck. My goal was an hour. We'll see what I do here in a second. There we go. Touch it. So I'm like 58:15. Like I said, it's definitely a hard FKT, which makes it a good FKT, because for 5 miles, like 13, almost 14, I think, 100 feet of gain. And you have to billy goat like half the trail, so like 2.5 of the miles you actually got a billy goat. Here's the trailhead map. You can see all the different stuff. There should be some maps in there, stuff for the geocaches in there as well. Got some sponsors on the side, and then rules and shit. But it's definitely a hard FKT. Like having a billy goat some of the sides of the hill. You honestly, I don't care if you're Remy Benet, you ain't running them, because you're gonna fall, because your feet just like give away. You actually have to stay high on some spots, because every step you take you're sliding down. I don't know, a lot of rocks, a lot of roots, a lot of water today. But the goal was an hour and I came in at 58:15, so I guess overall I'm happy with that. Could it be better? That's hit or miss, because I mean, if the trail's marked, like if it was like ribboned and the leaves were brushed away, maybe you can knock a couple minutes off. If you're not afraid to get hurt. But I don't know. I just know in the summer, this is what, March 5th? I think today's March 5th. There's not a lot of bugs or bees. You don't have to worry about snakes on some of the rocky parts coming out at you. And it's definitely a hot course. Like, I'm just sweating. And as you see, I did wear gloves today, which when I typed up the FKT, I definitely recommend gloves. So you can actually grab trees and rocks and stuff to swing yourself around, and just as you're tripping, because you're going to trip, just to catch yourself so you're not tearing up your hands, and you're able to go a little faster with gloves, just because you can use your hand as a brace on some of those like thick, or well, very steep pitches. So they definitely help. I don't wear gloves any other time, but for this one I recommend it. But check it out. Maybe I'll come and video it in a couple weeks, give you guys a good idea, but I don't plan on coming back for a couple weeks. Who knows, maybe I'll come back next week, but that way people have an idea like how hard this is, and maybe bring some more people to the trail to attempt it. So, all right.